Yes, thank you. That's perfect, yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and thank you so much for being here with us today. My name is Lisa Freeman. I'm the Governor's Representative for Highway Safety for the state. I'm also the Executive Director of the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission. We actually have some of our Highway Safety Board members here with us today. I'd like to acknowledge them. We have our LHSC Board Chair, Jay O'Quinn, who happens to also be the Executive Director of the Louisiana State Troopers Association. We have our Highway Safety Commission Vice Chair, Ron Pusho, who is the Lieutenant Liaison with West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office to District Attorney Tony Clayton. We have Harold Bauer. Harold, if you stand, thank you. Harold is Vice President over Pre-Construction and Project Development at Bow Brothers Construction. And we also have Chief Chad Leger. Chief, thank you, sir. Chief is the Chief of the Police Department of Scott, Louisiana. Thank you so much for always supporting us in and out of our commission meetings. I'd also very much like to thank the LSU Alumni Association and Live Cook Conference Center for this wonderful space. Absolutely fantastic venue to discuss an important issue this morning. And I cannot be more grateful to the news media for joining us today, because we really, really need the media to help us to raise public awareness of the severity of this issue. So here's why we've gathered here today. Too many pedestrians are dying in Louisiana, plain and simple. Ordinary citizens just trying to get from point A to point B are getting killed at an alarming rate. We're not here to assign blame to drivers or to walkers or bikers or runners or to anyone else. The way forward on this issue is to reverse the trend. It's by everyone working together. And that's what we're going to do by virtue of this launch today. So with that said, let me introduce our first speaker. He is now heading up his second Louisiana State Government Department. Glenn Leday Jr. has extensive public and private sector experience building public infrastructure across the Gulf Coast. He served as Executive Director of the Louisiana Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority before moving over to Department of Transportation and Development. Secretary Leday has a Bachelor of Science degree from LSU, Environmental Engineering, and he is a registered civil engineer in several states along the Gulf Coast. Please help me welcome Louisiana DOTD Secretary Glenn Leday Jr.
Well, good morning. Really grateful to be here at LSU today. I want to say thank you to Lisa and the great work that the Louisiana Highway Safety Commission does. And so really grateful to be here today and talk to you about this important issue. And so today we really come together with an urgent mission to keep our citizens safe and save lives, as Lisa said. And so as you know, pedestrian safety is not just a traffic concern, it's a public health, equity, and quality of life issue for all of our communities across Louisiana. Whether we're walking to school, to work, to the store, or simply enjoying our neighborhood, everyone deserves to feel safe crossing the street. And so where does Louisiana rank in terms of safety? Some of the statistics that Lisa mentioned have not been good recently. In 2024, 161 pedestrians were killed in Louisiana roadways. That's a 9.5% increase since 2023. Moreover, Louisiana consistently ranks among the top 5 most dangerous states for pedestrians. Unfortunately, in 2021, we were the second highest in the nation for pedestrian deaths per capita. But amidst this alarming data, there is reason for hope. For several years, the Department of Transportation and Development and all of our great partners have been actively working to develop growing trends and challenges to overcome these pedestrian deaths. Our recent efforts have included a number of things. The first is we have been investing in the Complete Streets program to improve walkability and accessibility. We have been expanding public education campaigns and including school-based pedestrian safety initiatives. We have also been implementing traffic calming measures such as speed bumps, roundabouts, and narrowed lanes in high-risk areas. And finally, we've been collaborating with our great law enforcement on high visibility crosswalk patrols. And all of these efforts are really making a difference, but there's still more work to be done. And we can all play a role in this great work. And so what we ask today is to drivers, please slow down, especially in school zones, in neighborhoods and at night. Stay alert and never drive impaired. To pedestrians, please use crosswalks and sidewalks when available. Wear visible clothing or carry a flashlight at night and avoid distractions when crossing the street. And to policymakers and all of our safety partners here today, continue investing in sidewalks, lighting, and safe crossings. Support our statewide Destination Zero Death initiative and prioritize these with infrastructure gaps that we can all do. At the end of the day, every pedestrian injury and fatality is preventable. Behind every statistic is a neighbor, a parent, and a child. Together, through education, enforcement, investment, and empathy, we can all make our streets safe for all. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Captain Brian Lee. Captain Lee is the Troop A commander of Louisiana State Police in Baton Rouge. He began his state police career in 2007, assigned to Troop A patrol for 8 years before becoming Troop A Public Information Officer. Captain Lee served as the commander of Louisiana State Police Professional Standards and Compliance Unit before assuming command of Troop A in 2024. Please welcome Louisiana State Police Captain Brian Lee.
Morning, Captain Brian Lee, Louisiana State Police. Initially, when I started planning to come here and talk to you today, I was looking and pulling a bunch of stats and coming in, but this morning I read something from an ER physician, and it talked about humanizing the patients, humanizing the deaths. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, because it's one of the things that we have to constantly remind ourselves as law enforcement when we're out. Sometimes it becomes a job, and when we're on those scenes, we kind of lose focus of, hey, these are people, these are real people, these are families, like the Secretary told us a second ago. And one of the things that we want everybody to know is that we respond to these crashes and they change lives forever. So when we go to these homes and we talk to these families, we make these notifications. A lot of us do it differently, but we all take the time to try to humanize those victims and those crashes. We take a second, we look at the Facebook pages, we look at those families, we see them at Christmas parties or at Thanksgiving with grandma. You know, it's just those things that you have to remember, and that's why you go out and you do the job every day. And these are the painful reminders that we have to deal with from day to day. So what I want to do is offer a challenge. I want to challenge the motorists to slow down. I want to challenge them to put the phones away. Expect to see pedestrians on the roadway, especially at night. A split second of inattention can cost someone their lives. I want to challenge the pedestrians to protect themselves. They have to take responsibility as well. They need to use crosswalks, wear the reflective clothing, walk facing traffic, follow all the traffic signals, avoid distractions while you're walking. Don't walk while you're impaired. You take advantage of those ride share opportunities that are out there. But one of the biggest things is just remember that when you're driving, while you're out there, and I think you said it best, that's somebody's neighbor, that's somebody's father, that's somebody's mother. So let's look out for each other and take our time, avoid distractions, and drive safely.
Many of you know our next speaker, but there's something about Jenny Peters that you may not know. The men's marathon was an event at the first modern Olympic Games in 1896. There was no women's marathon. Women were considered too delicate, too weak. They'd never survive a 26-mile run. It would take 88 years to break that barrier. In 1984, more than 200 women participated in the first Olympic marathon trials for women. Jenny Peters was one of those women. Although Jenny didn't make it to the Olympics, she helped shape history. She not only survived, she thrived. Today, you may know her as a world-class runner, or you may know her as the owner and founder of the popular varsity sports stores throughout South Louisiana. She is also a passionate advocate for the safety of walkers and runners, and I'm delighted she's joining us here today. Please welcome Jenny Peters.
Thank y'all. I've really got similar things to say, and thank you for that sweet introduction,
That's true.
Lisa. Except for I bought the props, so, you know, very similar to everything that Captain and Glenn said about pedestrian safety is true. You know, I live it every day, and I've probably done it for 40 plus years. And, you know, while we're working on pedestrian designated paths around the lakes, and I've got my own project on Perkins Road, and there's Lafitte Greenway and Mandeville, you know, we've got the Tammany Trace. It's wonderful to have those, but, you know, we're not so fortunate right now. I mean, many days, every day I'm out there, I'm probably sharing the street with cars, like so many of us, right, Kathy? I mean, so many of us are doing that. So, you know, everything that they said is true, but from a boots on the ground, if you will, standpoint, there's some things to consider. One thing is to run, you know, facing the traffic. As you know, so many people are distracted by cell phones or whatever it is, that you've got to see what's coming at you to be able to avoid them. So, you know, always try to do that. And, you know, we try to do it. It's a little scary feeling, cars coming up from behind you. So simple, but something that we always do. You know, around the lakes, I mean, this is in Baton Rouge, the most well pedestrian run and walked area. And, you know, again, there's cars and curbs and stuff like that. So you've got to be very, very vigilant out there, particularly with cell phones these days. I know y'all know what I mean. Another thing is with the darkness. We have standard time coming up, and you know, I'd like to say don't run in the dark, but that's impractical. At 5:30 it turns dark, and that's when a lot of the groups are meeting. So what can you do other than being vigilant is to wear the reflective clothes that we've talked about, and of course you can get those at Varsity Sports. But you can, you know, but also there's some other things that you need to do, and we call it in our world of running and walking being active or passive with your lighting. And I brought the props for that. Of course, I've got them in all my pockets. But, you know, what we talk about when people come in at the active lighting is if you want to see, you know, because it's important also for you to see in terms of being seen. I mean, there's simple $20 type of products like this that, you know, you can clip onto your belt. And if it's going to work for me, but I'm sure it will. Anyway, you would clip this onto your belt. And it's very, very simple, and it really lights away really well. Again, I sound like a product pitch, but I want to show you this because this is great. And it also turns into a blinking light. But passively, there's things that you can do, not just if you want to see things, if you want to be seen. And some of the biggest and best is probably something like this lit vest. Really, really lightweight, but I mean, you can see how this is really, really, really visible. So almost all of our runners wear something like this at night. If this is just too much for you, y'all, as simple as a $10. You can come to any running store and get a $10 magnetic clip-on. So that's what I call passively being seen. So that's something that you want to do. It's really, really scary out there in the dark. And probably lastly, to emphasize what the guy said, is from a automobile standpoint, just be very careful of pedestrians that are out there. Too many times I see people out there in dark clothes, you know, and that's kind of a scary thing. I always want to carry some of these around my car and just clip it on to people in the dark clothes. So that, and be very vigilant of crosswalks. Too many times I've been in a crosswalk and cars just blow through there. So anyway, there's a lot of things, but I appreciate everything y'all done, and thank you for keeping Louisiana safe.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jenny. Our next speaker is one of Louisiana's greatest athletes of all time. He was a two-time All-American basketball star, an SEC Player of the Year, who led LSU to its first Final Four appearance in 1981. Wow. He is a member, deservedly, of the LSU Athletic Hall of Fame, as he is LSU's all-time leading rebounder and is second in points scored only behind Pete Maravich. In 2010, he became the fourth LSU basketball player to have his jersey retired. What an honor, what an honor. Today, Rudy Macklin serves as director of the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, and he walks or runs just about every day. Please give a big tiger welcome to Rudy Macklin.
Oh, thank you all for having me. All that's been said, man, I've learned a lot today. But from my standpoint, the Governor's Council on Fitness, my office is placed within the Department of Health. So we get all the data and statistics when it comes to health and wellness, and especially when it comes to obesity. We're like at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to obesity, adult obesity as well as childhood obesity. Only West Virginia is below us. And when it comes to safety itself, especially pedestrian safety, the thing that I see that really bothers me badly is with people looking at their cell phones when they're walking. No matter if they're crossing the street, they become automatic jaywalkers, not knowing that where they're going when they have their face down on their smartphones. Now I know technology is meant to help us a great deal and keep us ahead, but it also made us lazy. And so we're going to have to take the time to be aware of where we're going and how we get there. And the thing I like to see the most when it comes to pedestrian safety is when people like Jenny put on a run walk. Louisiana has a lot of run walks for charity. We don't emphasize pedestrian safety. Have a booth there from the Highway Commission or mall, that some will be more cognizant to have something there to remind people about pedestrian safety, because the number of people that are killed with accidents hit by cars is mostly men. I don't know what it's about us men. We just got to feel like we got to get hit, and then we can outrun a car, out-dodge a car, or something like that. But men are the ones that are seen to taking disproportionately of getting killed by traffic. So let's make sure whatever event we put on, a lot of us in this room, others here, may be involved in events to raise money or to raise awareness, that we include pedestrian safety to make sure it's highlighted, passing out materials. And I work with them, NASQUAs all the time, with our number of challenges that we have with the Department of Health. And so make sure that we always teach our children the importance of pedestrian safety. And and one other thing, whenever people cross the street, they go from one curve to the next. When they get to that next curve, they still got 1 or 2 feet in the street, instead of just going completely on the curb. So I always teach, when I'm with children, my own granddaughter now, I take a step back when you cross the street to the next curb. I saw a lady get hit one time, just crossed the curb, just had her foot out there, and the car just happened to nip her. And so that's important. Those little things like that can make a difference. And so thank you all for having such an important conference like this and the people involved. And I just hope that we can always continue to raise awareness about the importance of pedestrian safety, because Louisiana, I just want to be number one in something. I don't want to be at the bottom of the barrel, and raising awareness now and get ahead of the game. That's what we need to be. All right? Thank you very much. I appreciate everything you've done for me. And be.
Thank you so much, Rudy Macklin. And we can always grow the message by leaps and bounds, that's for sure, because there's a need. Being in the midst of academia here on LSU's campus, I thought maybe a brief history lesson might serve our messaging this morning. So let me take you back to the 17th century, when people of means and British aristocracy traveled by horseback or in horse-drawn carriages. The rest of society, at that time known as commoners, they walked. Those who had horses referred to themselves as equestrians, derived from the Latin word pertaining to horses or horsemanship. Those folks began referring to the walkers as pedestrians, based on the Latin word for on foot. According to historians, this term was meant as an insult, with equestrians looking down on pedestrians. Over time, both definitions of the word stuck, and unfortunately, so have some of the same attitudes from centuries ago. But the notion that our roads belong to any one group of road users, that's misplaced. This slice of transportation history can be relevant because we know that attitudes evolve into action, and in that way can have significant impact. For those of us who drive motor vehicles, we cannot look at those on foot and other vulnerable road users as an annoyance. Pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorcyclists, they all have the right to use our roads. You may have seen the ad campaign sponsored by NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Share the road. It's everyone's responsibility. Share the road is not just a catchphrase, it's the law. It's also the right thing to do. Sharing the road begins with the understanding that walkers and runners and bikers have the same rights as all of us. And they also face very unique challenges. Over the last 10 years, as you heard from our speakers, this is an issue. More than 1,400 pedestrians have been killed in crashes. That's more than the combined number of motorcyclists and bicyclists killed. That's more than the number of motor vehicle passengers killed. No one is more vulnerable in a crash than a pedestrian. This we know. The chances that a pedestrian who is hit by a vehicle will actually die of his or her injuries, you may not know, is 10%. Taking a walk shouldn't be the last thing that you do. Walking should not be a death sentence. You've heard our speakers today demonstrate their passion clearly for pedestrian safety and share suggestions for safer outcomes for our vulnerable road users. I'd like to add another ingredient to that mix, one that doesn't require an environmental study, doesn't require a permit or a lengthy approval process. It's a free program, and we can implement it immediately, no training required. It's called Kindness and Patience. The Kindness and Patience program does have a few rules. Drivers must acknowledge that their daily commute is not a NASCAR qualifying event. And drivers need to remember to yield, as you've heard so many times, yield to pedestrians at crosswalks. The K&P program actually should extend to all road users, where drivers should be considerate of other drivers who are trying to switch lanes or trying to enter and merge into traffic. And while this perspective might sound trite or cliche or even oversimplified, the truth is we can show respect to one another, respect that translates into lives saved. That's what moves the needle. It's what Rudy Macklin said about the little things. They all add up. And that's what moves the needle for our pedestrian community. And when you think about it, all of those little movements could really be a game changer. There was a gentleman who was a former U.S. Department of Transportation secretary in the past. His name is Anthony Fox. This is what he said about pedestrians. Whether you live in a city or a small town, and whether you drive a car or take the bus or ride a train, at some point in the day, everyone is a pedestrian. We are all pedestrians. So let's be good to ourselves. Thank you very much for coming today.